Hello, welcome to Issues with Cartoons, and we're continuing Daredevil Week with our coverage of Daredevil Yellow
by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. My name is Kyle.
My name is Carl.
And Carl, I think probably the first Daredevil comic I read all the way through was probably Daredevil Yellow. I don't know when you discovered it, but this is actually the first Marvel color book I ever read. For a long time, it was the only Marvel color book I ever read. But I was always kind of interested in this era of yellow costume Daredevil, and I would always see like the covers on the rack, and then eventually I found the collection and I bought it and I read it voraciously. I loved this book growing up. It came out in 2001. I was 13 is perfect age for this kind of thing. Where do you find yourself encountering Daredevil Yellow?
I didn't read it till later. The first, when you say the Marvel color books, it was a series, Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale did of like the various Marvel characters. There was Hulk Gray, there's Daredevil Yellow, and there's Spider-Man Blue.
And Captain America White was the last one they did.
Right, and so like to tie it into your question, the first thing I saw was definitely Spider-Man Blue. And I got the trade of it, because I was a big Spider-Man fanboy, and I just remember reading it in like one sitting.
It's phenomenal.
And then, I think from there I chased down the other Marvel color books, and I found Superman All Seasons. Tim Sale became a favorite of mine for young Carl. Yeah, that was like a formative artist. For sure.
Amazing. Gone too soon, obviously.
I agree.
Goes without saying. Such a tragic loss to the medium and to the art world, and obviously just to the people who knew him.
Tim Sale's one of the rare
singular voice.
It's like one of the rare things where he broke out of comics and did like concept art for heroes.
I remember
the TV show and stuff.
That was a big deal in the comics scene, that he was like breaking out into the mainstream. Like everyone was seeing his artwork.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and that happens too few times, where a comic artist is kind of able to break out of comic land and go into film land.
Yeah,
to
the point where like people know your name and everything. I think.
Yeah.
So Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb are a pretty famous pairing in comics. I think probably the only other person Tim Sale worked with as much is maybe Darwin Cook. I know I've read a couple of Tim Sale Darwin Cook projects. But Jeph Loeb is generally the writer I associate with Tim Sale, mainly from the Batman books they did and from the Marvel color books they did. I'm sure they did like the Challengers of the Unknown comic. They did Superman for All Seasons.
It's worth mentioning Batman Long Halloween.
Batman Long Halloween, I think, is their seminal work. That's the work that will outlive everybody. I mean, it is a mammoth book in the Batman canon.
I was about to say that influenced the Nolan films too. I mean, like it's a pivotal book, and it's one when people are like, "Hey, recommend me a Batman story." I see it in every top 10 Batman story. Like people are like, "Read Long Halloween," it's infamous.
And we'll cover Long Halloween because it was adapted into an animated film, 2-part film. Dark Victory was the sequel. I think there was a prequel, Halloween special that I think is usually collected with the Long Halloween. It has like a scarecrow story.
Yeah, Haunted Night.
Haunted Night is the title.
Haunted Night, and it was 3 different Halloween one-shots.
Mad Hatter, I think, was one.
Scarecrow.
I don't remember. You're right. I think there was a third.
Penguin?
Oh, it was the Penguin.
It was the Penguin?
I think you're right.
3 of those. And I think that inspired Long Halloween, because it was like...
I think they did those first. Maybe you're right.
Yeah,
maybe that's why I said it was a prequel, because it was published before Long Halloween.
Yeah, they were kind of like, hey, we like working. They were still kind of testing waters. They were like, hey, we like working together. These one-shots have been successful. Let's try a longer book.
They also did a Catwoman miniseries.
When in Rome. Yeah, that was good.
And again, it's so funny because I know Catwoman best as a Darwin Cook project where he did the Ed Brubaker run. He also did Selena's Big Score.
Gosh, she was in that costume forever.
And I think Selena's Big Score probably came out near about the same time as When in Rome. Maybe I'm wrong, but I certainly encountered them around the same time. So I always associate those two artists together, and I just love both of them. And
I do too. I'm a big fan.
This book, Daredevil Yellow, I remember redrawing poses of Daredevil in this.
Oh, wow.
I probably read this before I really became too familiar with the red costume. So in my mind, like, I kind of add equal weight to both yellow and red costumes. But I adore the art in this book. And Jeph Loeb, Jeph Loeb as a writer can be hot and cold for me.
Okay.
But I will say the work that he's best known for, like the color books, the Batman Long Halloween, For All Seasons, unquestionably high quality writing in my mind. And you know, there's a lot we can say about Jeph Loeb as a person. He's gotten himself in trouble with some things that he said
but
in the past. But as a writer, as a contributor to comics, especially in collaboration with Tim Sale, I think it's definitely worthy of being put on a high shelf.
I think a typical comic book writer would kill for one of these books.
1,000%.
They're all like incredibly successful. They're a great team.
They really are a great team.
They're a great team.
And really complementary to each other's style, I think. I mean, that kind of heartfelt narration that Loeb is able to infuse in a lot of these works, like everything we talked about, like the For All Seasons and all the color books has a lot of heart in them.
Yeah, there isn't just a plot. There's a story. There's an overarching story that runs through. You know, it's usually personal nature. Like in this, it's kind of Daredevil's getting over his love interest's death.
Karen Page's murder.
Yeah. Karen Page was killed in the main books.
This takes place right after the Kevin Smith run. Well, it doesn't. It was published right after.
Oh, really? Is that the placement on it?
So,
I didn't know that.
Kevin Smith took over in Marvel Knights Daredevil issue 1, which was 1998. I think it lasted through 2001, 2002.
Marvel Knights was popular.
Yeah.
And they were like really pushing that branding. Like this is adult Marvel.
So let's talk about the context a little bit. Because Daredevil issue 1 with Kevin Smith was 1998 with Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti on art. Marvel Knights launches. Daredevil Yellow comes out around 2001, 2002.
Was that
Daredevil
Garth Ennis
the
Punisher?
movie?
Was that Garth Ennis Punisher?
So
That's
Garth Ennis would be a little later because they tried doing like the Angel of Death Punisher.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring that up. But this is also Black Panther by Christopher Priest. This is also Inhumans by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. That was kind of the launching 4 titles was for Marvel Knights. And then later you get things like The Sentry by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee and Fantastic Four and Punisher by Dylan and Ennis and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the Marvel we're living in. And then Daredevil specifically, I think his film was probably in development at this point.
Yeah, it was about to come out.
Yeah, it came out 03 or 04, I can't remember. But the Daredevil's got some heat on him, I guess is what I'm saying. So it makes sense that a nice prestige, like high-profile team miniseries would come out.
No, it makes sense for this era. Like, I remember going to the comic store when this came out. Like, this is like when I was going every time my poll got dropped or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean we would have been 12, 13 at this time.
Yeah, and I was all in at this point.
So lettering by Richard Starks and Comic Crafts, Wes Abbott, colors by Matt Hollingsworth. We need to talk about the colors in this because the colors are gorgeous.
They're outstanding.
So the way this process worked, Tim Sale penciled, inked, and ink washed all of it. And then Matt Hollingsworth would overlay the color palette on top of his ink wash, on top of Tim Sale's ink wash to give the impression of watercolor. Because I always thought this was a watercolored comic, but it's actually a ink wash comic with Photoshop colors on top of it.
It's the opposite of Dark Knight Returns.
It's beautiful. Oh, I know. Or Dark Knight Strikes Again. Is that what you?
No. I mean, like I meant in terms of the process, because it's like Dark Knight Returns. You had photography of Lynn Varley's line or colors, and then you have the line work on top of it. And this is the opposite, where you have ink washes and you have color on top of it.
Overlaid on top of it.
So I meant that, I wasn't being sarcastic for once. I meant that actually, like
it's so hard to tell with you.
Yeah, I know. I'm hard to read sometimes, but I meant they truly are opposites in approach. Is what I meant.
Look at this panel. There are no page numbers on this, so readers at home, I apologize. True. I'm going to do my best. So you get this beautiful splash. Here comes Daredevil. Then you get this beautiful double-page spread of the DeLuca effect of Daredevil like leaping and spinning and twirling over the rooftops.
And Scott McDaniel would do this a lot in like Nightwing and stuff, you know, like art like this where it's like you get multiple poses in the panel, and whenever I see this, it always works really well.
Oh yeah, and Daredevil, you see it with Daredevil a lot. John Romita Jr. will do the same thing with Man Without Fear that we'll cover.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think Miller even does it a lot in his run, but the page after the 2-page spread, and you get that 2-panel page, and that top panel of Daredevil's silhouette, backlit with the skyline in the back, with all those bricks freaking
like watercolor.
It is stunning. It's a stunning book, and so much of this book is just going to be like, oh, look at that page. Oh, look at that page. Oh, look at that page.
Yeah, and we could do that. We're going to try to refrain from that.
Yeah, we'll try not to do that.
Yeah, we'll try not to do that, because we realize that, you know, this is a podcast, and you go to the visuals. You literally have to have the comic book in front of you.
Get a copy of this book. Find it on Marvel Unlimited. Find it on Hoopla. Go to your local library. Go to your local comic book store. Find Daredevil Yellow and just look at it.
Without question. Yeah, go pick this up.
Oh, yeah.
We're like highly recommending this. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I'll just go ahead and say, for the rest of Daredevil week, if we're talking about a book, buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, like all the comics
They're bangers.
All the comics we're going to talk about are like 100%, if you're a comics fan, you should go read these.
Yes.
No-brainer.
That's now out of the way.
Okay.
The premise of Daredevil Yellow. The premise of Daredevil Yellow is Karen Page has just been murdered.
Yeah.
And Foggy tells Matt that the one way he should try to or move on or process it, is by writing Karen a letter. And writing Karen letters. Mm-hmm. So in the narration, that's what Matt is doing. He's writing Karen letters about how they met and their early life together when he was first becoming a superhero. And so you get basically retellings of the first 7 issues of... No, it would be the first 6, because that's when he was in Yellow.
If you had to put a time frame on it.
Yeah, the first 6 issues of the original classic Stan Lee, Bill Everett, Wally Wood, Daredevil run from the 60s.
And we mentioned that, you know, Electro is in issue 2 of Daredevil and he steals villains. Well, Electro shows up here.
Yeah.
A lot of this is a retelling.
In issue 2 of the comic. Yeah.
The original run. And it's similar in Spider-Man Blue. It's a retelling with, like, there's a modern story going on with Daredevil's grief, but we're also getting, like, classic
extended
moments.
Flashbacks.
Yeah.
And so we had talked when we were covering Daredevil issue 1 about how the origin is mostly the same throughout, but there are interesting deviations that kind of everyone lays their mark on the character and on the origin with. So it'll be interesting kind of seeing the way they tell the origin compared to other things.
Yeah, we talked a lot about how, you know, Jack Murdoch's origin differs in the cartoon, and each retelling of Daredevil tells it differently, and this book's no different.
No.
It's a different version.
For sure. And even some of the side characters have some slight differences to what like Frank Miller had done, because of course this comes out after Frank Miller, and I think that's worth saying is the costume didn't get a whole lot of play post Frank Miller, but you know, this is one of the more prominent examples of when it's reintroduced.
I think it's funny how it's not really funny. It's interesting to me that Tim Sale decided to render Foggy Nelson so much differently than Frank Miller.
Yeah,
like he really
he's goofy looking.
He went back to the classic Foggy Nelson that was like in that original Daredevil run, and he's like, that's the character design. And it's not this later version, it's this classic version. And so that was something that stood out to me rereading this.
A lot of this actually it's almost writing it as if Man Without Fear didn't exist, as if Frank Miller's run with Klaus Janson or Born Again didn't exist.
They almost contradict each other in a
little
lot of
bit.
ways.
It's almost like let's just tell a Silver Age Daredevil story with modern sensibilities and modern art. It almost, there's no mention of Elektra at all.
No.
There's no mention, I don't think, of Wilson Fisk or Bullseye.
They're not even here.
Josie's Bar, I don't think, is in this at all. Maybe I'll be corrected later.
And it paints Daredevil's relationship with his father in a much more romantic light.
Yes.
And, like, Jack Murdock isn't a mob enforcer in this. He's just a regular guy that gets caught in with the wrong people.
Yep.
And he gets murdered. So it's a more heroic take on Jack Murdock. And
Jack is flawed, but he's not criminal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the biggest difference here.
Jack Murdock in this feels a lot more like it makes sense that Matt Murdock is his son. Because he's like, kind of like, you know, talking a big game and he's being like charming and he's flirting with girls, but also like he's trying to do the right thing but can't help but mess up, which is such a Matt Murdock thing. Like, you know, he wants to do well with boxing so he can take care of his son, so he signs on with a fixer. But that just causes more problems. And I don't know, I like that a lot. I think it's also interesting to note, we don't see the accident that blinds Matt Murdock in this. We don't see... This isn't about Matt's superpower origin. This is about Matt's character origin and how it relates to his relationships with Foggy and Karen and his father, Jack. Just interesting that they go that direction.
Yeah, and they very easily could have... You bring up a good point, because they could have thrown that in here.
Yeah.
That could have easily been a scene, but they purposely avoided it. I think that's fine. I enjoyed in this first issue, like, how much of the boxing stuff is present. Yeah, like, it's a big part of this issue.
And again, I hate talking about Darwin Cook all the time, but it does remind me of the Darwin Cook...
Don't be ashamed of that.
The New Frontier Ted Grant fight is one of the best examples of boxing in a modern superhero comic I've seen. And this is right up there with that. Interesting to note, he's fighting a character called Creel, which is a Frank Millerism. Like, maybe one of the only Frank Millerisms in this is that the guy he loses to, I think, is Creel in the Man Without Fear book.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's ever been explicitly tied to Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man. But he sure does look like the Absorbing Man in this page.
I think they've just, like, implied that they're related. Like, they've never, like, I don't know if they've ever explored it. I'm not 100% on that, so contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com.
I'd be interested
But, yeah, I'd be interested to know.
Because, by and large, a lot of Daredevil does exist in its own corner without having to do much with any other superheroes.
I agree.
So it's just interesting if they were to decide to tie that in with Absorbing Man.
So you brought up this double-page spread of, like, his dad being victorious. I mean, like, that is, like, a standout image, isn't it?
It is like it's like a Norman Rockwell painting. It's like a Sports Illustrated photograph. Like,
yeah, like, I could see this in, like, Rolling Stone, even.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is almost like editorial illustration.
It does feel like
less
that, yeah.
than comic book art, but I think it works really great.
And I'll even say on the spread before that, when you see when Jack gets up, even before that one, when Jack gets up and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna sit down."
He's got that look on his face.
The measure of man is not how he gets knocked down on the mat; it's how he gets up. Actually, that two spread where he gets up and then when he does the knockout punch, and then the spread after that when he's victorious. I mean, I know this is a boxing match, but it is like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Like, it is just.
Oh, I didn't get
no, like it just in terms of like impact as a reader, like it's like the build up, the hit, and the triumph. Like, it's so.
Yeah,
the cadence is so good.
It's a moment, and yeah, it does hit you as a reader. Like, I got to the splash page, I like stopped for a moment and stuff, and there's a lot of where Tim Sale, I noticed, simplifies his pages into just like 2 panels, or he does use a lot of splash pages, Which I don't know. I've heard people complain about that, but like I grew reading Kevin Eastman and Peter Lard, and there's a splash page like every other page.
From the 90s. Like,
yeah, I love it.
This isn't the worst thing you can do with the splash pages.
No, I love splash pages. It's fun.
And
I want to see the characters big.
Well, and exactly. And
dramatic.
I was going to say too, like this is adapting a comic from the 60s where they were doing like 6, 7, 8 panel pages. And they're giving it room to breathe, and I feel like they do it very successfully. And if you think about the reasons, like the reasons for splash pages, like to provide impact, and why they choose a double page spread for this scene, and you just figure, okay, well, this is the high moment for Jack. This is like his last high moment. This is his son sees him at his very best, and this is the kind of the last time he'll really get to see that.
Yeah. In short, he gets involved with the Fixer. It's still the Fixer in the story.
Yeah.
This panel where Matt's kind of sleeping here.
Yep. I was going to bring this up.
That's the panel from issue 1 where it's like Jack putting his hand on Matt's shoulders and he's like, "You're going to be a good boy. You're going to go to study." So once again, this is another artist drawing that moment.
Yeah, and question of who took that photograph notwithstanding, it is
right.
cool that you get that reference, and like you
funny.
said, it is constantly called back to. I love the vertical panels on the page after that where he hears
90s.
his father's heart stop and he goes to get him.
That really works the opaque white against like kind of the grittiness of the colors.
Yeah.
It shows, and it works really well. It pops.
Yep. And then you see his father laying dead on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal how you rendered that.
Again, just so different from how it's like that kind of Venn diagram. It's like on the spectrum of 1964's Daredevil 1 and then Man Without Fear in 1994, and then in 2001 you have kind of this middle ground of the Silver Age story with some violence and teeth to it, but it's still kind of Silver Agey.
Yeah, it never gets too violent.
No.
And that's where I think it's the separation between this and the books we'll be covering later is that it's fairly safe.
And like the color palette up to this point has been pretty bright, and I know it's a nighttime scene, but it is very like gray and brown and black when his father's dead. It's definitely a low point for him.
It's a more emotional take on it. He's like, "I love you, Dad. Did you hear? I love you." It'll tear your heart out more than the other versions. And yeah, when I was reading this, it had like way more emotional resonance with me than other takes on it.
Yeah, Loeb is so good at grief, at writing grief.
He is. He's good at tapping in those emotions that like, I think Miller's, it's like you're more focused on like the action and like the crime drama
the grittiness
of it, and like this book really explores emotion.
It really has heart.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think you're right about Loeb. He's particularly well at bringing that out.
Yeah. So just to kind of put a button on this first issue, the court finds all the evidence circumstantial, so the Fixer and what's the thug's name? The guy who actually killed him, Slade.
Yeah.
So
they give him a
Fixer
name.
and Slade get off kind of scot-free, and Matt goes to law school.
Matt graduates. I like this shot with all the hats and stuff.
Yeah,
I thought he conveyed this really well. Him and Foggy.
Sure. Well, in this moment of him getting the diploma and the dean or whoever saying like, "You've shown us no matter how large the adversity, the individual can triumph." I think that might have been pulled directly from Daredevil 1.
Oh, really?
I'd have to go back and look, but keep talking while I check that.
Yeah, so it's really echoing back to a lot of scenes we see in Daredevil comics where it's Foggy and Matt are kind of palling around on campus, which is, most of the time their relationship, we see that. And it's cool. It's got this orange background and stuff. And then, after the college scene...
Yep, which is pulled directly from page 13 of Daredevil 1.
Oh, it is? That line?
The dialogue is slightly different, but the
I didn't catch that at all, and I read Daredevil 1, and I still didn't catch
We've
that.
read a lot of Daredevil this week, everybody.
I did.
But then he goes into his footlocker just like he does in Daredevil 1, and he stitches together a costume.
And it's exactly like that, yeah.
It's exactly
his
like
father's part of his boxing uniform that becomes Daredevil's costume.
And just this killer splash page where you see the suit for the first time, and you see that big shadow of the devil behind him.
The suiting up was great, too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like where he's pulling the gloves down and stuff. I thought all of that worked really well.
Yeah, it did.
That is a great shot of Daredevil. I want to say one of my favorites, but I feel like that's loaded to say.
Oh my gosh, there's so many good shots in this book, I can't even pick a favorite.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely, I mean, even the opening splash on issue 2, where he says his name, Daredevil.
I was texting you, and I was just like, this book has aged even better, like, coming back to it after all these years, because, like, I didn't know what I was going to think of this. Like, it's been a long time since I read this, and coming back to it was refreshing.
Yeah.
I think it holds up really well.
Oh, it definitely will. I mean, we're skipping ahead to the end a little bit, but I don't think I can find much flaw with it. It's incredibly well put together.
Standout Daredevil story, for
definitely.
sure.
Gosh, Tim Sale can draw.
Yeah, this scene where he's Daredevil's kind of flipping through the air again, kind of calling back to the first issue, but he's in his classic costume here, so we're like completely in the past.
Yeah, well, and actually we're still in the second half of Daredevil issue 1 in terms of story, like
the placement.
Yeah, like he's suited up, and now he's looking for the fixer. But like, I used to redraw this panel of
one?
Daredevil on page. So it's after the 2-page spread.
After the 2-page.
It's the second page after that, where he's leaping and the bullets are bouncing around him. Just the elegance of that figure work.
He's coming after Slade at this point.
Yes.
Who killed his father.
And so he's chasing him. He's in the gym, and he's fighting Slade, and he finds the gun that he thinks killed Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about the pistachio nuts that were found at the scene. And then you get this splash of just Daredevil's face saying "testify" with a gun in his hand.
I thought that was great.
It's just so
he's
badass. And
he's
it's
judge and jury.
Yeah, and it's so dark, and it's so interesting of, like, again, pulling from what little bit of that grit that Daredevil 1 from 1965 had, that Frank Miller would extrapolate from. That grit is here, but it's painted bright yellow, you know?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. This other one where he's sliding down the pole on his billy club.
Almost looks like he's
and then him vaulting over the pay station at the subway. These two panels, I would draw those figures over and over.
Really?
I love those panels.
Oh, wow. I was probably, when I was younger, I was drawing out of a lot of Batman comics.
Sure.
I just remember stealing poses out of Batman comics.
But just elegant. I keep saying elegant because Daredevil is an elegant character. Like, he's got that acrobatic, just beautiful, like, ninja work. But
one thing that sticks with me about Tim Sale is his compositions are always really strong. He's really good about that 1/3 rule.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, he's like where Daredevil's sliding down the rail. You know, there's great negative space.
A lesser artist would have put that in the center.
Same here, yeah, where he's vaulting. You know, there's a nice negative space over there. It's good. It's good compositions, yeah.
And so they recreate this scene that, again, I think it's so tragically beautiful the way that this is all set up, where Sweeney is running from Daredevil in the subway, and his heart gives out.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely built up more in this than previous versions, because I think Sale and Loeb had time to let it breathe.
Yeah. I think splitting that first issue, like the plot points from issue 1 of Daredevil, splitting that into 2 issues of Daredevil Yellow was smart.
Mm.
And then as the train is about to run into them, Matt changes the course of the train, so everyone riding on that train is not going to go to their stop where they're supposed to go. But it gives a good dramatic angle of this very cool double page spread again.
Yeah, and he's the difference here is he saves his life. He saves the fixer. Yeah, the fixer's life.
He keeps the fixer from being hit.
But he still dies of that heart attack.
Yeah.
Right. Just like all the other versions.
Look at how this is so small, but look at the way he renders the light on the flashlights. Just
I like that.
So good.
It's experimental. Reminds me of Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, it does remind me of Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, almost like a Sienkiewicz take on it.
And that cool splash of him saying his name, Daredevil. And then after
that was cool.
You get this great sequence where Foggy has volunteered to find a secretary for Nelson and Murdoch, and this wonderful sequence of him interviewing everybody. And it ends with someone off panel basically giving the perfect interview. And then when Matt arrives, you meet the subject of the letters from these first 2 issues, and that's Karen. And you finally meet Karen at the end of issue 2, and she's the whole reason for Matt writing the captions and this in the first place.
That'll keep you reading.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just to leave it off, like, we know this book's about Karen, and so I think it was a strong choice. And not to end it on a fight scene like a normal Marvel book would, or the hero in a predicament. It's just the introduction of a character.
Well, and again, like, it gives weight, too, because if you think the end of issue 1 was a big splash of the yellow suit in a book called Daredevil Yellow. Makes sense. And then the second issue ends with a splash of Karen Page. Like, it's obviously super important. Like, she's a pivotal character. Another thing that we're talking about with Tim Sale is body shape and the variation in size and shape and scale of these different characters.
Like the shape language he voices, like it is strong.
Tall, lean Matt, that broad, wide, kind of rounded Foggy, and then this little petite Karen. And then we'll come to pages where you'll see it, and it really is a cool visual. It really adds interest to the images.
He's a master at crafting silhouettes, and I think, like, when you're designing characters, that's key. And Tim Sale is definitely conscious of that when he was drawing this book.
You see that throughout all of his work. I mean, I go back to thinking about For All Seasons and thinking about Lois Lane next to that big burly,
bulky
round
Superman.
It's incredible. All right, Carl. Here's what we all signed up for.
Book 3.
Book 3.
Oh, okay.
This is the moment you stopped everything and texted me about.
What a cameo!
What a cameo! First of all, that first splash of the Thing, Ben Grimm.
I forgot the Fantastic Four were in this.
Yeah.
And, like, so it was fun to initially see the Fantastic Four, and we were kind of talking about, like, what was the Marvel color book we want to see Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb do that they didn't do, and I think Fantastic Four would be it.
I mean,
right? I mean, when do you want a whole book of Fantastic Four?
You turn the page and you get this beautiful perspective shot of...
It's outstanding.
Of the Fantastic Car and the Fantastic Four
outstanding.
At Nelson and Murdoch. The dialogue, they only have a couple lines of dialogue each, perfectly in character. The renderings are absolutely spot on, beautiful, perfect, and it reads, and you just want more.
This is such a complex drawing, and it works so well. You have, like, the Human Torch is in the foreground.
Yep.
Reed is underneath the Fantastic Car, which is drawn in 2-point perspective.
Amazing. Kind of
going back into our background, and you have fully rendered buildings with windows. And then you have, like, this beautiful Sue Storm, standing there and stuff. It's just a powerful image. Like, I texted you. I stopped. I was like, it's Fantastic Four picture. Like, I want this as a poster on my wall. Marvel, make this a poster. I want to buy it.
Honestly, I would put it on my wall. It's so gorgeous.
I'll just print it out and make my own. I'll make a bootleg.
We'll print 2.
I'll bootleg it.
Yeah, if they're not going to give it to you.
If Ben Grimm doesn't beat me up on Yancey Street.
Oh my gosh, I love that we're getting more Yancey Street talk. I bet they have a lot of clientele, Nelson and Murdoch, on Yancey Street. I bet they get themselves in a lot of legal trouble. So their first clients end up being the Fantastic Four.
It's great.
And on the page where they're celebrating and Foggy's dancing with Karen, then you get a shot of Karen, and it's photorealistic. Like, it's so different from the kind of cartoonish look that he gives Karen.
Oh yeah, that up close shot.
It's like this. It's like this, like an illustration of Karen Page, and it's gorgeous to look at.
It does stand out because like normally he just does like the really like black eyelashes.
Yeah, even on the two panels before that, you see her face, and it looks nothing like that.
It works.
I'm not criticizing it. I'm complimenting the artist. Like, it's showing his range as an illustrator. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, Tim Sale was a master at like just renderings.
And so you show up at the Marlin, the Marlin, which is the bar that they hang out with. So it's not Josie's bar in this book.
Yeah.
And they're gonna hustle some college punks in pool, and while they're razzing him with Helen Keller jokes, he just very coolly hands Karen his coat and does his best Paul Newman in The Hustler impression.
Yeah. Matt Murdock mops the floor with these guys at pool, so much so that they think it's a scam later. Don't they try to jump him?
They try to jump him and say, I don't think you're really blind. And he proceeds to beat the crap out of them in this blind alley. And you get a little bit of Karen and Matt flirting a little bit when he loads her into the taxi, but you also kind of get this sense that Foggy's got some interest in her too.
And that love triangle straight out of that first issue.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's eventually, Foggy, gets married or whatever, or gets a girlfriend.
Yeah,
but
the soap opera of Daredevil comics is an ongoing concern. So Matt goes and visits Slade, and it's actually here in this sequence when we kind of get a sense that someone was above the Fixer, and it's kind of the only hint you really get at of there being anyone like a Kingpin in this story.
Yeah, he's not mentioned directly, but it could just be another mobster.
If you know who Daredevil is, you kind of assume it's probably that. Again, with these vertical 3-panel pages.
Yeah, that's so 90s. I mean, it sticks out as like a image 90s kind of thing to do that. The pistachio nuts coming up again.
Gosh,
Slade.
I've never read the word pistachio so many times.
I know, right?
But back at Nelson and Murdoch, this woman who is not comfortable really sharing her full name, going by the name Grace, is hiring Nelson and Murdoch to basically protect her from someone who is threatening her. But she gets cold feet and runs off. And not 2 pages later, we find out who that is. And it's this lumbering man with a heart that flutters like a bird.
Classic rogue.
And we turn the page, and it's Leland Owlsley the Owl.
Owlsley.
Owlsley the Owl.
I hate that pun name, but sure.
Yeah, that's very Stan Lee 60s.
Yeah.
Leland Owlsley, who does show up in the Daredevil TV show.
This reminded me of something that would be like in For All Seasons. Like this drawing of the owl. That full page spread. Like, I feel like there's a similar one with Luther. Yep. Yeah, in that book.
Yeah, but I think you're right.
Yeah, it's iconic,
Oh yeah, that's classic. The Owl is a ridiculous character.
He really is, and doesn't he fly in this too?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And this again goes to the idea that Daredevil was just basically Marvel trying to do another Spider-Man. And it's like all the bad Spider-Man villains ideas they had, they just put in Daredevil.
It's like the Owl's like a Big Lots version of like the Penguin. Almost, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like we can't afford. Yeah, like we can't afford the Penguin. Sorry, we can't get any DeVito, guys.
He's the budget-sized Penguin.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, all right, yeah. Daredevil's villains are a little lame. They're stilt man.
Right.
I mean, there's like come on.
Right. The Matador.
Yeah, Bullseye even's a little lame, but he's off and interesting.
Bullseye is ridiculous, but it's juxtaposed with an absolute unhinged, just ruthless, uncomplicated murderer.
He's merciless.
And it really, I think, gives him Like, his personality is just like, I kill everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's his personality.
Yeah.
And I think that almost you need that goofy kind of blue costume with the targets, which honestly is graphically very interesting.
Yeah.
And simple. You need that to kind of contrast the absolute gnarly character that he is. Meanwhile, you have just a goofy character with a goofy look and a goofy name.
The Owl.
The Owl.
Owlsley.
And I don't know who thought Stiltman would ever be a menacing villain.
He almost had to have been a joke on Conception.
He had to be.
Yeah, he had to be.
Someone
like an
went to the
office joke.
circus and was just like, oh,
Stilt man, sure. Let's run it. This cover to issue 4 is nice. It's nice seeing like different sides of Matt throughout the series.
Covers on these books. Yeah.
We get him in the courtroom, which is that's an important part of Daredevil and the mythology, and
with that kind of blue look at the Daredevil in the background. It's gorgeous.
Some
it really
cool
is.
like watercolor spotting in the windows almost.
Yep.
Like it looks like watercolor. I know it's
ink wash, but
ink wash.
It's been made to look like
it's digital.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's great.
But hey, your boy shows up.
My boy shows up, and who could that be? It's Electro.
Best costume in comics.
Yeah, I think I've even talked about it in our coverage when we did Siege.
Yes.
We talked about how Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, that's right.
Black Bolt is basically like Electro's.
Not Black Bolt, Blackout.
Black sorry.
Bolt's
I'm sorry. Yeah, Black. So Blackout is basically like Electro's costume, except it's black instead of green.
He's like the Big Lock version of.
He is. He's Big Lock's version of Electro. Jesus. Okay, so I love his starfish mask. Is what I'm getting at. Like I love Electro's classic costume, and there's been a thing throughout the history of Marvel, especially in the 2000s when this book came out, where they're constantly trying to take the starfish mask away.
They're embarrassed by it, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, they were trying to make him cinematic, like an Ultimate Spider-Man. He has scars on his face from his electric powers, and John Byrne gave him a blue costume. It's like they're always trying to take the starfish mask away. Just leave it.
It's not the worst thing John Byrne did.
It's perfection.
I do love it.
Michael Fassbender, as Magneto once said, the mystique.
Perfection. Yeah. Just play that GIF on your phone while Carl says that.
Put that on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Make a reel. I don't know. Do kids do reels? But this fight with Electro is very fun. I do like that he crashes a Rockettes dress rehearsal.
That was great. Are you kidding? That was fantastic.
Flirts with them while he's chasing the bad guys. Like, I love that body language again of Matt swinging over them and just smiling. He's such a dog, man.
Well, Daredevil is like always a ladies' man.
Such a ladies' man.
Yeah, they always do that.
Well, and we talked about that Daredevil documentary that was on the DVD for the Ben Affleck movie, and Frank Miller talks about things that when he was trying to deconstruct Daredevil, like what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he talks about is how the senses really work. And if you think about this guy, Matt Murdock, who's just got his senses are dialed to 50 every day, and he's Jack Murdock's kid.
He can sense heartbeats.
Yeah.
He knows what people are feeling to a degree.
He knows how to play on people's emotions and things. That's probably what makes him such a good lawyer. And he's so weak for women, and it's so interesting. And Frank Miller talks about he's like one of the most sexual characters in superhero comics because of that. Like
he could sense your heartbeat. There's a lot of that with Miller's narration work. Yeah. But we go inside Daredevil's mind more than this book.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you get the inner monologue.
Yeah. Because this is more like he's writing to Karen, so it's a lot about him and Karen. But when you read the other books, it's all internal. I love the energy in this Electro fight. And I love the shot of him being doused in water. So simple. It's such a simple way to beat him.
I thought it was great. I was happy to see him show up. I'm always happy when Electro shows up.
It is so crazy that in the second issue of Daredevil, they were just like, give him a Spider-Man villain.
I don't understand. Like,
well, again, it goes back to my first hypothesis when we saw the cover to Daredevil 1 talking so much about Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. It really did kind of make me wonder if crossover or just like a lack of faith in the concept. Like, I wonder if they were like afraid that no one would buy a blind superhero.
Stan Lee's seen a lot of books canceled before this, so I think by the time the 60s rolled around with Stan Lee, he knew what he was doing marketing-wise. And yeah, Stan Lee saw that this character wasn't as popular. I'm sure he knew.
I'm sure he did. Because honestly, this is one of those rare occasions where Martin Goodman, this is something else that might have something to do with it. Martin Goodman came to Stan and said, make me a Daredevil character that's riffing on the success of Spider-Man. Mm. It wasn't Stan looking at a wall and seeing a fly and be like, I'm going to make Spider-Man. Like, it wasn't him like...
This was mandated.
This was mandated.
This was editorial.
This was handed to him, and I bet Stan hated that. And so he probably didn't have as much faith in it as something like Spider-Man or Fantastic Four.
It is... I remember in the conception of it, Stan Lee said he wanted to create a new gimmick, and the gimmick was that he was blind.
And that's interesting.
Because we hadn't really had like a handicapped superhero.
You're right, and that's interesting because in the Tom Brevoort blog I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Tom says that that's Bill Everett's invention, that he was blind because of blind justice. So again,
interesting.
It's all hearsay. We don't know.
We weren't there in the bullpen.
But, talking about that documentary again, Frank Miller was talking about why he liked Daredevil so much. And one of the things I remember from that documentary so much is the reason he was so attracted to Daredevil and why he couldn't wait to get his hands on him is he said, how many superheroes are known for what they can't do?
Oh, yeah, he does say that.
And it's such an insight and why he makes it so compelling as a hard-boiled noir character. Because noir characters, if you study film noir at all, protagonists in noir are always flawed.
Yeah, they're never
imperfect. Yeah. And Matt is an imperfect character in addition to being blind. Like, the blindness... Noir characters always have, like, an element, a physical element to show a flaw. Like, the best example I can think of is Jack Nicholson's broken nose in Chinatown. He has that bandage on his face for all of Chinatown. It's that outward demonstration of an inward brokenness. And so, for Daredevil, he's blind, and that is just one of the character elements that is different from him. And it's so interesting when you think about other characters, like Peter can crawl on walls, Superman can fly, Daredevil can't see, and it just makes it so... It's such a good case for why he's a compelling character. I love it. Anything you want to embellish on that, or you want to move on?
I was just thinking about his radar senses, but
that's true. He can do things that other people can't.
He's not completely handicapped. He's kind of
No, I wouldn't even go so far to say
you're getting at like these noir characters have a tell. Almost like they have like something like
many
the bandage.
Many
like the bandage.
They have things about them that show and this is a slippery slope because this is kind of getting into ableism and about like, are you is blindness like a brokenness? Like, I don't think people from the blind community necessarily
that's true.
That. So let's acknowledge that first, but let's also just say like, for a man like Frank Miller who was writing this in the 80s, when you're trying to think about noir tropes, I bet it resonated with him having like a physical difference like being blind for a lawyer who's fighting as a vigilante and fighting for justice. And I bet it was a really compelling for someone who's very into, film noir to have a character like that.
In a way, Daredevil for Frank Miller was like a stepping stone into Sin City. It was Daredevil was like where his interest in noir grew and grew and grew until he couldn't hold it anymore. It became Sin City.
Other than Batman, were there very many like hard-boiled superheroes? And I say that specifically, like, could you do detective narration with many other characters before Frank Miller did Daredevil, other than like Denny O'Neil's Batman?
Other than Batman?
I mean, The Question wasn't doing that at the time, I don't think.
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking of a character. Yeah, he's really the first one to do it.
Certainly popularized it. If not innovated it, he popularized it.
Yeah, sure.
But we're talking a lot about Frank Miller, and this is
well, it's Daredevil
Yellow, so I'm so sorry, guys. This is going to be long.
Yeah, but it is Daredevil week, and we can't talk one without the other.
That's right.
I feel like
that's true.
So, anyway, so we're back to the office here. Yeah.
I love this.
Karen Page and Foggy and stuff.
Yeah, Foggy's he's dictating a letter to the Owl, basically saying like we need to tell him that we need a real name if we're going to bill him. And Karen's looking out the window, not really paying attention. She's thinking about other things. And then she sees Daredevil swing by, and he uses color holds. Like, he doesn't use line work for the visual of Daredevil swinging by. And it's cropped, so, like, you almost don't see him, because it's probably how Karen saw it. Like, blink and you miss it. And then you cut to Matt walking in. And Foggy's kind of annoyed because Karen's attention is being pulled first by Daredevil and then by
Matt. So it's like Foggy can't even keep his head in the game, really.
Right. And so they decide to go bowling, and you get this kind of really beautiful scene where Karen helps Matt bowl.
Yeah, this scene's cute. I mean, like,
cute.
And it's, you almost need more of this in, like, the 616 and just the regular books, like, just characters hanging out,
Yeah.
This is like the X-Men playing baseball, and, like, I always love moments like this where it's like just show these characters being people for once,
And it's a criticism I have of, like, the trend, and this is not new to modern comics, this is going all the way back to the Silver Age, but where you take the human supporting cast and you make them super characters, or you get rid of them completely.
Which is the wrong way to go.
You lose this.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
This touch of the real, of the human, that makes them characters and not just action figures.
And that was a lot of my complaint, like last episode with Peter's supporting cast. It's like we've gotten to the point where they're all killed off, or they're all like disembarked, or they've all done terrible things, and it's
they're all super powered.
Yeah, and it's just like that's not any fun. Leave the supporting cast is the supporting cast. Maybe it's too many spices. It's like you're making a delicious meal, and you're like, let's put some paprika in there, and then another cook came over, another comic book artist. And they come over and they're just like, let's throw a bunch of turmeric in that on top of the paprika, and let's just throw a ton of salt.
How many
and then
more
your
spices
dish.
can you name, Carl?
Yeah, and then I could do a few more. Garlic,
right, yeah,
onion powder, rosemary, thyme. We could keep going. Anyway.
That's great.
Anyway, but that's what it feels like to me with these like supporting casts. They're just overpowering it, and it turns into a mess.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. So
anyway, they're
after the beautiful bowling sequence, this beautiful bright bowling sequence, we cut to the penitentiary, the New York State Penitentiary, and the issue began with him fighting Electro, a man with electrical currents coursing through his veins.
I didn't catch this.
And
parallel.
It ends with him watching Slade at the electric chair.
That's a nice parallel you pointed out. I didn't catch that.
Has to be on purpose.
Yeah.
And it is gnarly. It's just it's ominous. It's chilling. You see that shot of him watching from the observation room, and the shadow of Slade being electrocuted. It's just
something worth pointing out is Matt almost brought pistachio nuts, which Slade was eating earlier.
He was going to be petty.
Yeah, and he was going to be petty and eat the pistachio nuts while he was getting electroshocked to death.
I couldn't take them out of my pocket.
Yeah, I thought that was some cool continuity.
What good character.
Yeah.
What great character writing.
That was a great throwback to like the first, where he captures Slade initially with the gun, because that's where the pistachios come up.
After that, you get that shot of Jack grabbing Matt's shoulders. That's highlighted more front and center here.
Yeah, you're right. That does come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow.
And then
it's cool.
Matt goes to the office, and Foggy shows up, and he pulls out a wedding ring and says, "I'm going to
propose to Karen." This is the most disturbing scene in the comic for me. Just how delusional Foggy is. It's like you've barely made any moves on this girl. Gosh. It's every thought he's had about Karen has been internal. None of it's been out in the real world, and then all of a sudden, splash page, he's just like, "I'm gonna propose to this girl."
Dude, we know people like this though. Like we know these guys exist. These guys exist. Where they
wild
and it's very wild.
Comes out sideways.
And so
issue 5. Issue 5.
We are in 5.
Cover in front of the courthouse, against the ropes.
And Matt's looking for Karen because Karen is missing, and you get this great shot of him looking over the city from the top of, is that the Empire State Building? He's on a spire somewhere, and he's just looking out on the city, listening through all the traffic, listening through all the sounds, listening through all the dialogue going on, and he finally hears Karen say,
"See the
Mr.
scope."
Murdoch.
Yeah.
And he just leaps across the rooftops, and I just want, little stickers of all these little daredevils leaping across rooftops by Tim Sale, because they're just so gorgeous.
Yeah, Tim Sale really sells it.
And, Karen is hostage from the owl.
You'll believe a blind man can fly.
Oh, that's great. You should write Netflix or Disney Plus.
I was quoting the Christopher Reeve. I don't know if that was appropriate. Sorry, everybody.
No.
Contact at IssuesWithCartoons.
In care of Carl Lucas. This swagger that Matt has when he's on the birdcage talking to Karen, and that size disparity that we were talking about on that splash when he shows up.
Oh, when he goes to save Karen?
It's really something.
I think that drawing, I kept looking at that, and I think he kind of exaggerates...
that size difference is very exaggerated.
His height here. Normally he's like 6 heads tall. In this one, he's like 7 or 8.
You're right.
And but I think it works well, and it's still an interesting composition. I think being asymmetrical and interesting trumps accuracy at times, and this is an example of that.
I'll agree, and I'll even add to that. I think the thematic idea of Karen meeting this larger than life superhero in person for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I think is sold by the fact that he looms large over her.
I mean, even the D is huge.
Yeah.
On his chest there.
Yeah, look, Matt's big D.
I realize.
So he breaks the bar. This part was a little ridiculous to me. He touches the bars and feels the weak spot and is able to bend the bars to get Karen out, which is, whatever, a little silly. But he's holding her, and she says, "Okay, well, you shouldn't be here when the owl gets back." And she says, "Well, you're going to have to let go of me then," implying that he was holding on maybe a little tighter than he should have. And they flirt, and it's really cute. And he's just got this...
Yeah, this is the first time that really...
He calls her Karen, and she's like, "Wait,
how do you know
my name is Karen?"
Yeah.
And that sly dog Matt Murdock says, "Well, I've seen you in my dreams ever since I can remember." Like, oh my gosh. Like... You never turn it off, do you?
And isn't this where Karen names him the man without fear? Because that comes up a few times because it's like Karen. Yeah, he says at the beginning of the book, that Karen was the one that called me the man without fear.
That first panel of that page is exactly right.
And so I think this is where Karen gives him that.
And I love that because it's the same energy as Lois names Superman, and I think that's always a good way to emotionally tie the hero to the love interest.
That's cool.
It's so cool. I think it's actually really beautiful.
It's better than being like my symbol means hope, or whatever that was. Man of Steel.
I don't love that either.
Sorry to bring that up during Daredevil week.
Speaking of beautiful, though, let's talk about Leland Owlsley swooping in with his bird feet.
This scene was wild. I couldn't get over this. This was crazy.
Look at him puffing his cheeks.
Yeah, so we haven't seen the Owl. We have all this drama, between Karen Page and Daredevil. And then Owl swoops in, he's flying, and he has bird feet. And he picks up Daredevil. It's so Silver Age
nonsense. It's some goofy-ass stuff. I don't know.
It is goofy as hell.
And,
big aerial fight.
Yeah, it's actually really exciting. And this again, these 2-page spreads of this DeLuca effect where he's swinging on his billy club across the water fighting Leland, who I just feel like he's got to be struggling to stay afloat. I mean, he's just a big dude. Goes into the water. And
I like the way this was colored, actually. They make it all blue.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
Honestly,
it was cool.
The way he renders water throughout this whole spread is actually really sweet. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Kind of that same kind of Kirby dot energy that Kirby does to note water.
There's a little bit of that going on. There's 3 colors present, 3 values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is almost like Kirby does. That's a good point.
But, Owl gets away.
He
But
just drowns. What happens to him? He disappears off panel. He disappears between panels.
Apparently Daredevil let him drown and doesn't look for the body.
I wouldn't either.
Oh, why would
you can go back to Big Lots and get a new owl.
That's true. They have plenty
pretty
of
cheap.
owls.
They're pretty cheap.
That's right.
That's
You gotta scare the birds away.
And then we're wrapping things up. This is the last issue.
Well, this is the second to last issue, actually, because we still have issue 6 after this. We are going to run very long today. So
where am I?
But this is Carl. Are you okay? So Karen is telling Matt what happened, and she's like throwing punches in there.
This is great. She's performing the fight.
Oh yeah, it's super adorable.
Yeah,
and they end up flirting. And listen,
guess who walks in?
We know that Matt knew that Foggy was coming like 3 blocks away because he's dead.
Oh yeah. I never thought about that.
He's still flirting. He knows. He has to know that Foggy is just outside the door.
He's a womanizer. He can't help himself.
So he's just gonna flirt with the girl that Matt knows Foggy is interested in. He's just gonna do it. Just brazen. Doesn't care.
Yeah, he can't resist. He can't resist. He's got to seal the deal.
Bouquet of flowers.
And Foggy, just
sad sap.
So pathetic. The way they render him, God.
Well, with that negative space, you're talking about negative space. Look at the composition. Foggy's so small.
Yeah.
And the wall, the ceiling is just kind of crushing over him. And that really makes him feel tiny, and he feels like a tiny person.
That way too.
And then again, those 3 panel verticals.
I like this. Yeah,
it's a good animated sequence.
There's still, you can see the window, and you have this character moment where Foggy's walking out into the street, throwing his bouquet away, throwing in the towel, whatever you want to say, and Daredevil's still, or Matt Murdock is still flirting with Karen in the windows, and you can see that while this moment's going. That's why Tim Sale's a master.
Absolutely.
Because we have 2 scenes happening simultaneously.
Yeah, it's like a tiered comic. It really is fantastic.
Which is almost a rule you don't break, like in cartooning. Like, you're supposed to have a single action per panel, and sometimes when you put 2 moments together in a single panel, it doesn't quite work.
But it works because of that vertical panel layout.
Yeah, it works here. I'm saying this is a rare example.
It's a good cheat.
Yeah, of this actually working. So issue 6.
We're in issue 6.
Sorry, everybody.
Carl wanted to end early, and we're not. You're not allowed.
I'm kidding.
Because then, if you ended early, you would miss this beautiful opening splash of Karen with just incredible acting, with the way, like the hand gestures and the way her foot is dangling her shoe. And just the way she's kind of pensively reading this newspaper. Really incredible acting.
And then it's interesting to point out the Matador is on the cover of the first Wally Wood issue.
Yeah. Great.
So this is a callback to that with Karen in the newspaper.
So that tells you we're near the end of the Yellow era, because issue 7 with Wally Wood is where the red suit shows up. So we're near.
Yeah, we're leaving classic Daredevil.
Yep.
Yep.
And Foggy's still pretty pissed.
Foggy's mad. I think he's doing that beat so well. He's throwing shade at Matt. He's like, hey, are you guys gonna answer the phone? Are you guys gonna pay attention to me? I'm Foggy Nelson. I bought a ring for a woman that talked to me twice. Come on. Also, what's his problem?
He hired Karen. That's some sketchy. I don't know, man. So,
some questionable morals here.
So Matt and Karen are going to go meet a client. And that client is the Purple Man. one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about the context of this book coming out is this came out around the same time as Alias by Brian Bendis and Michael Gaydos. Mm-hmm. So, seeing the Purple Man, who debuted in Daredevil, I think in Wally Wood's first issue, maybe the issue before, regardless, doesn't matter. He debuted in a Daredevil issue. And
do you think there was a collaboration between Bendis and
Loeb
on this? You think it's a coincidence that Purple Man shows up?
But although, you know what, though? The tone they strike with the Purple Man is very similar to the tone that Bendis and Gaydos do in Alias, where he's this creep and he's kind of scary.
He's manipulative and he has a creepy vibe, and it's 100%. I almost want to say like David Tennant looked at these comics or something.
We know David Tennant's a nerd. We know that.
Yeah, right.
And I don't doubt for a minute. He also knew Jeph Loeb was involved. Jeph Loeb was heavily involved in the television, like we mentioned. Mm-hmm. I bet David Tennant read Alias, and I bet he read Daredevil Yellow.
Yeah, they had to have talked about it. Yeah. There's no way.
This is that kind of skeevy charisma. Yeah. Very, very David Tennant-y.
Yeah.
Underrated performance in MCU live action.
I think so. And unfortunately, if I had to stack up MCU villains and who's the most threatening, it's strange to me that two of the Netflix show villains are in my top 5.
Oh yeah,
it's like Kingpin and David Tennant were really standout performances. I can't say that about every MCU villain. I thought Justin Hammer was kind of tame.
We could go down the list, and honestly, like you say, I'd say easily top 10, if not top 5.
Yeah,
Marvel Cinematic Universe villains.
Jessica Jones was great too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
but so Alias is the Jessica Jones book that introduced Jessica Jones, and Purple Man features very heavily in her story, and I just think it's so interesting that I think that came out around this time, around 2000, 2001. So I think there was just something in the air about Purple Man where everyone was kind of getting the same vibe out of Purple Man, and made this creepy character who kidnaps Karen on in this point in the book.
Yeah, page 5 or something.
The way they render everyone turning purple. They're colored purple.
I like that. I like that touch a lot.
And then his yellow contrasts so gorgeously against the purple.
It works really well to convey that these characters have been taken over by Purple Man. They become purple, as we kind of move through here. And then there's even this page where the spell wears off, and we see the cops revert back, which is cool.
The half-page panel of Daredevil over the city, that's another panel I copied a lot.
It's great, and he even got the cars beneath.
Oh my
god! The detail in this book's crazy.
How big of a pen brush do you think he had? He had to use a single, I don't even know how you get that small.
I wonder how long it took Sale to draw this book. Was this a year-long book?
I don't know.
Was this a 6-month book?
I know there were a lot of delays on Captain America White.
I remember that.
It took him time
a year
to get
stuff
stuff
finished.
a long time. And there's so much detail in this.
Do you remember the timeline on this? Did this come out consecutively, or? Because I read this later on.
I read it. I think I read it as a collection, but I do remember it coming out in issues. I don't remember if it was on time or not. Contacted Issues with Cartoons. But yeah, this really skeevy moment with Purple Man making Karen undress, and then Matt coming in to save her. And then beating the crap out of Purple Man.
Here comes Daredevil, he says.
Here comes Daredevil, which is, of course, the tagline of the original Daredevil comics. Here comes Daredevil.
Yeah, right at the top.
Before he was the Man Without Fear, he was Here Comes Daredevil.
That's cool they put that in there.
Yeah, it was cool. And so then he tells Karen to jump, and Daredevil swoops in to save her.
I love this whole sequence. It's just fun.
Blast.
Yeah, it's great. I breezed through this when I read this.
Yeah, and it's just the chemistry that Loeb gives these two characters is palpable.
Down here, Karen says, do you like red, Karen? And she's like, it's my favorite color. Oh my God. It's Karen's
do you like pink, Lois? Is what that is.
So it's it's just Karen's giving him an idea, to change the costume red.
Yep. Yeah. It all like the Man Without Fear comes from Karen. The red costume comes from Karen. That's what this book is positing, and I love it. I think it
cool.
adds. We were talking about how Karen was kind of not very
proactive,
not very interesting until Miller kind of broke her. I think if this had been the characterization of Karen, this kind of charming, kind of sprightly,
she's likable here,
very likable, very lovable.
She's fleshed out.
This Karen, I would read all day long.
Yeah, like if this was in the original comics, it would be a different story.
Yeah.
For sure. Like Wood Miller made her a drug addict and all that extra stuff. I don't know.
Knowing that this Karen becomes that Karen honestly breaks my heart and makes me mad more. And really, they achieve the same thing with Gwen Stacy, I think, in Spider-Man Blue also, where they give that Gwen a lot more personality and heart and everything. As we careen into the end, and Matt and Foggy are going to have it out and finally hash out what to do about Karen. Yeah,
they're finally resolving that. I'm glad it gets resolved.
Karen resolves it for them, where she shows no interest in either of them, and now she's all about Daredevil. And they are actually both really okay with that. And they're like, okay, well, that's out of the way.
We'll live.
We'll be fine. And then the
present day.
The epilogue goes back to the present day where he's in red, and that red pops against that gray monochromatic ink wash that they do on the rest of the background. And it kind of gives a survey of where they're at, where he's just like, I bought my dad's old gym, and I got Melvin Potter to run it, and life goes on, and we just kind of move on and move up, and I'll always miss you and I'll always love you.
He's full circle, like coming to terms with Karen and the loss of his father, and it kind of results that image, of the gym his father was at.
Because at the beginning, the gym had burned down, right? Am I remembering that?
Does it?
Am I thinking of? It burned down at the beginning. There had been a fire, and not much was left.
Oh yeah.
And so then at the end, he rebuilt it as something new that still honors what came before. And I think that's kind of how he's viewing the death of his father. That's how he's viewing the death of Karen. It's all kind of represented through Fogwell's gym becoming Battling Jack's gym.
In like Spider-Man Blue, it's kind of a bittersweet kind of ending. Kind of put a bow on it. And yeah, that's Daredevil Yellow. Kyle, what do you think of this book?
5-star book.
5-star book?
5 out of 5 book. I
must
love this
read.
book.
Yeah, I thought the same thing rereading this. I was taken back with the quality of the art, the quality of the storytelling. It's a standout Marvel book.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And like I said, there aren't that many Marvel books that stand on their own that are evergreen that you can hand to anybody. This is a 25-year-old book I can hand to anybody and say, here's a good Daredevil book. I would highly encourage anyone who's even vaguely interested. If you're turned off by like the gritty crime noir, if that's not really your bag and you just like classic superheroes and you want a good Daredevil book, it's right here.
This is the one. Hey, I'm just gonna say it. I would almost read this over Daredevil 1.
Oh yeah.
To a new fan.
Yep.
Like if I was trying to get somebody into comics.
Don't worry about Silver Age Daredevil.
Yeah, read this. Jump to the Miller stuff.
You need or want.
Yeah, jump to Bendis, wherever you want to go after this. There's a ton of great Daredevil runs.
Yeah, I feel like this goes really well with like the Mark Waid stuff. This goes really well. I mean, if you want to read this and then read the Kevin Smith run to kind of find the context for why Daredevil is writing to Karen Page, throw a dart at a wall at any Daredevil run and you're gonna hit a winner more likely than not. But this is a really strong showing for Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb and for Daredevil. Really well done. Carl, any other thoughts?
That's pretty much all my thoughts on Daredevil Yellow. Go out and read it.
All right. Plug your stuff, Carl.
www.carllucasdraws.com. You can buy my book, Shogun Bear and the House of Horrors. I'm in the process of writing the second Shogun Bear graphic novel. I don't know when it'll be done. It's taking me forever. Kyle, what do you got?
It'll be worth the wait. It is Ko-fi.com/KyleWindle. Cornelius Armstrong, Adventures and Antics. My sequel, Cornelius Armstrong and the Great Goodheart, will be out eventually.
I'm glad we're getting number 2. I wasn't sure we're getting number 2.
Yeah.
We're getting number 2.
Me neither, Carl. We still might not.
Wow. Brutal. Yeah, Sugar Bear 2 might never come out either. It might
just live on this podcast. Thunderduck number 1 and Mad Science Rejects number 1. Sequels to those are also pending. And then you can commission me or Carl at our respective websites for private art commissions. Contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com. You can send us your thoughts on Daredevil. Please subscribe, share, like, follow, subscribe, review, rate, all the things. If you want to stay tuned and stay up to date on Daredevil Week as we head into the Disney Plus show's premiere of Daredevil Born Again. We're all Daredevil all the time this week, while also continuing our coverage of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. But until then, more issues to come.
Stay tuned.